And these students are tomorrow's business leaders, accountants and management consultants. Watch these future leaders at a state-run education camp and you'll begin to understand what's so exciting, but some say frightening, about Rwanda. They undergo military training, take history lessons on the genocide, and debate one of the most radical ideas you can imagine, the idea on which the whole recovery is based. They will never again talk of tribes.
To know that we are no longer Hutu or Tutsis. We are Rwandan. We are one.
Now there is no Hutu, there is no Tutsi.
We want to take a new direction of our life and of our country. We know it's not easy, but we could try.
The younger generation, we have to talk about this. We have to free our mind.
In Rwanda, if you don't share or claim to share that optimism, you can be prosecuted. Many Hutus were killed alongside Tutsis during the genocide and in revenge attacks afterwards. But if you talk too much about that history, or suggest that Hutus and Tutsis might sometimes have different interests now, you can be accused of dividing the population and of the crime of genocide ideology. Victoire Ingabire is a would-be presidential candidate, a Hutu, who's been called in several times by the police to answer that charge. She questions the whole government approach to reconciliation. She has no proven support. She's not been allowed yet to register her party or to speak on the state-run media, but she believes that she represents a silent majority.
Jusqu'aujourd'hui, on n'a pas encore atteint la réconciliation du peuple rwandais.
There has not been reconciliation amongst the Rwandan people. To achieve that, everyone must be able to express themselves freely. Everyone must be able to talk about what they've suffered. The government cannot tell people how to behave or what to say.
Le gouvernement dicte aux gens la conduite.
This is a Tutsi survivor. The scars on his face, the evidence of the machete attack he endured. He is seeking the truth at a gacaca, or village court, from a Hutu businessman he says helped the killers. This system was designed to cope with the sheer number of genocide crimes. There are no lawyers or professional judges here. Britain's been enthusiastic about its success. Even today, the scale of the evil takes you aback. I talked to one man allowed out of prison as a witness. How many men did you kill?
The people that I personally think that I had the responsibility of their death are about 700.
700?
Yes.
Spurred by inflammatory radio broadcasts, he had led a gang that shot or hacked Tutsis to death. For all the talk of reconciliation, Rwanda still consists of victims, mainly Tutsi, and perpetrators, mainly Hutu. Some Hutus say they're often falsely accused, on hearsay, to settle personal scores, just because of the tribe they belong to. That's what this man wanted to tell us.
When they say this is the Hutu who did it, they want that person punished without any analysis. Their anger means people are punished at any cost.
But when he realised he was being overheard by a state security agent, he refused to say any more.
Yeah, he does not hear us.
Okay, fine, then we'll stop. Okay.
To criticise Gacaca would risk falling foul of the genocide ideology law. Its aim was to stop the racial hate speak that fueled the genocide. But some say in practice it can stop any criticism the government dislikes.
Puisque donc avec ces allégations, When we were accused of genocide ideology, we were terrified. It's not an easy thing to be accused of this, as you can be persecuted, even imprisoned.
Gertrude Nyampinga says her human rights group was accused of genocide ideology for exposing election irregularities. More than half her colleagues fled abroad.
I would say we live under a regime that doesn't favour freedom of expression. The authorities don't like criticism, so when people do criticise, they become afraid that they'll be threatened or persecuted. It's not a good idea to speak out.
So is Rwanda's reconciliation forced and ultimately damaging to the country's future?
To be very blunt, I would not mind being forced to live peacefully with my neighbor, because the alternative is to be free to kill my neighbor. So it's not as simple as people think. Now, that said, this country does not want, the leadership of this country does not want to be hostage to the 1994 genocide.
And this flagship development, rising above a new business-friendly capital, shows how much Rwanda has changed and how the economy, at least, has moved on. It's this go-ahead Rwanda that the Conservative Party loves too.
You're softening it, are you?
David Cameron has promised not to reduce any aid spending and has made Rwanda his development flagship as well. The Conservative Party dismisses much of the human rights criticism as simply wrong. The Tories bring a party of politicians and activists to Rwanda every summer to roll up their sleeves and help physically to rebuild the country. Whoever wins the election in Britain, UK support will continue.
The British government is supposed to stand for principles of democracy, and yet in the current situation in Rwanda, democracy is practically non-existent. So we have a situation where British money is serving to prop up a government that is routinely violating the rights of its citizens.
I don't accept that at all. Where our money goes is very much into development. It goes into health. It goes into education. It goes into improving the daily lives of the people of this country. There's no real scope for diversion of that money into other purposes.
After its terrible history, Rwanda says it cannot be judged like other countries. It is proud of the way it has pulled itself up in a manner no one could have imagined in the year zero of 1994. And Britain has invested a great deal in Rwanda's success. But will that success be tarnished by growing questions about its human rights record?
Tim Hewell in Rwanda. Now a quick roundup of today's news.